Learn English through stories with shadowing and conversation. Rosie wiped her hands on her apron and looked out of the bakery window. It was a beautiful May morning in the village of Willowbrook. The sun was shining gently and the air felt warm and fresh. The smell of fresh bread mixed with the sweet scent of spring flowers. At 19, Rosie loved these peaceful spring days. She baked fresh loaves, soft rolls, and sweet buns for the villagers.
Right, that's the last batch done,
she said happily. She packed some warm bread into her basket and stepped outside. The village looked lovely under the clear spring sky. She walked past the ivy-covered houses where bright green leaves shone in the sunlight. In the flower-filled courtyards, tulips, daffodils, and colourful spring flowers were in full bloom. At the local market, people were setting up their stalls and chatting cheerfully.
Morning, Rosie. Got any of your lovely fresh bread today?
Of course. I've baked this morning. How's your family?
Very well, thanks. This warm spring weather is perfect for the garden. My wife says your buns are perfect with a cup of tea.
He gave her some early apples in exchange. After selling most of her bread, Rosie felt pleasantly warm. She went to the tea house on the corner. The windows were open and the smell of tea and cakes welcomed her.
Hello, Rosie. A nice cuppa? Maybe with a slice of cake?
Yes, please. It's a proper lovely spring day today, isn't it?
Ah, it certainly is, love. Days like this make the whole village feel alive again.
They talked about the village, the new baby lambs in the fields, and how beautiful the countryside looked in spring. Next, she needed some strong thread to mend her apron. She popped into the fabric shop. The shop was full of pretty spring colours.
Morning, dear. What can I help you with?
Just some good thread, please.
While they chose the thread, they chatted about everyday things, how the warm weather was helping the plants and plans for the village fair in a few weeks. Rosie left feeling warm and content.
They are lovely. I think the yellow one matches the fabric best.
It was lunchtime now. She went to the hot soup stand at the edge of the market.
A bowl of your vegetable soup, please. Cheers!
Rosie said, and ate it in a sunny spot near the trees. The soup tasted even better on a pleasant spring day. After lunch, Rosie took a longer walk through the village. The sun felt warm on her face. She walked to the waterfall, where the water fell gently and sounded peaceful. Close by stood the old mill, its wheel turning slowly in the stream. Everything looked fresh and green. From there, she crossed the lavender field. The young purple flowers were just starting to open, filling the air with a soft, sweet scent. Mr. Brown, the farmer, was working among the rows.
Morning, Rosie. Out for a walk again?
Morning, Mr. Brown. I love coming this way in spring. The lavender smells wonderful already this year.
Thank you, Lass. This warm weather has been really good for it. Would you like me to pick you a fresh bunch?
That would be lovely, thank you. I've brought you some fresh bread from the bakery.
Mr. Brown looked pleased. He cut a beautiful bunch of lavender and gave it to her. They chatted for a minute about the harvest and village life before Rosie continued on her way. Finally, she took the path through the woods to the forest cabin. Her old friend Mrs. Harper lived there. Rosie knocked on the door.
Hello, it's Rosie.
You walked all this way on such a lovely day. I brought you fresh bread and some lavender.
They sat together with cups of tea and talked softly about the village, the beautiful spring weather and simple daily life. Outside, birds sang in the trees. Later, Rosie walked back home through the village. She waved to friends at the market and tea house, then returned to her warm bakery. She opened the windows, put the kettle on, and breathed in the lovely smell of bread. It had been a peaceful, happy spring day in Willowbrook. With the warm sunshine, growing flowers and kind people around her, Rosie felt very lucky to call this village her home. Now let's do some shadowing together. Listen carefully and repeat each sentence naturally with me. Days like this make the whole village feel alive again. Days like this make the whole village feel alive again. A nice cuppa, maybe with a slice of cake? A nice cuppa, maybe with a slice of cake? Rosie felt very lucky to call this village her home. Rosie felt very lucky to call this village her home. Everything looked fresh and green. Everything looked fresh and green. Rosie felt warm and content. Rosie felt warm and content. Would you like me to pick you a fresh bunch? Would you like me to pick you a fresh bunch? This warm weather has been really good for it. This warm weather has been really good for it. Brilliant. Let's keep going. Before we finish, let's listen to Harry and Olivia as they have a warm conversation about the story, village life, useful vocabulary, and the lovely spring mood of Willowbrook.
Hello everyone, a very warm welcome back to English Natively. I'm Olivia, and as always, I'm here with Harry. How are you doing today?
I'm doing well, though honestly, after listening to that story, I'm suddenly questioning why I live in London.
Same here. Honestly, Willowbrook sounded absolutely lovely. Before we start chatting though, we have to say a huge thank you to Margaret for that beautiful narration. Her voice just makes everything feel so cozy and peaceful.
It really does. Thank you, Margaret. I mean, fresh bread, lavender fields, little market stalls, a village waterfall. It all sounds like something out of an old British film.
It does, doesn't it? And I think what I loved most was the atmosphere. Nobody seemed rushed. Rosie had time to stop and chat with people, walk through the village slowly and actually enjoy her day.
Which is basically the complete opposite of city life. In London, everyone's speed walking with a coffee in one hand and stress in the other.
That is painfully accurate.
And did you notice how everyone in the village seemed to know each other? Rosie wasn't just the baker, she was part of the community.
Exactly. That sense of community is something a lot of people miss in big cities. In villages, people actually stop to talk, sometimes for a very long time.
Oh, definitely. In fact, I think in villages, a quick trip to the shops somehow turns into a 40-minute conversation.
Especially if there's tea involved.
Naturally.
Right then, shall we look at some lovely vocabulary from the story?
Let's do it. One word I really liked was batch. Rosie says she'd finished her last batch of bread for the morning.
Yeah, and a batch simply means a group of things made at the same time. We use it a lot for baking.
My mum still bakes a fresh batch of brownies whenever guests come round.
Oh, that sounds dangerous.
It is. I lose all self-control around brownies.
You can also use batch for things outside cooking too, like the office accidentally sent a whole batch of emails to the wrong client.
Which sounds oddly specific, Olivia.
I refuse to comment.
Another lovely word was buns.
Ah, yes. In Britain, we absolutely love buns. Sweet buns, iced buns, hot cross buns,
Chelsea buns.
cinnamon buns.
Basically, if it contains sugar and bread, we're interested.
Pretty much. A bun is usually a small, soft bread roll, often sweet. You might hear someone say, "Fancy a bun with your tea?"
That sounds incredibly British.
It really does.
I also noticed the phrase popped into. Rosie popped into the fabric shop.
That's such a common British expression. If you pop into somewhere, you go there quickly or casually for a short time.
Like, I just need to pop into the post office before it closes.
Or, why don't you pop into ours for a cup of tea later?
Although, in reality, nobody ever stays for just one cup of tea.
Never. One cup somehow turns into biscuits, life advice, and 2 hours of conversation.
Then Rosie bought some thread because she needed to mend her apron.
I really like that word actually. Mend. It means to repair something that's torn or broken.
My grandmother used to mend absolutely everything instead of throwing it away.
Same here. I feel like older generations were much better at that.
Definitely. Nowadays, if city people get a tiny hole in a t-shirt, they act like the world has ended.
That's true. And thread is the thin string you use for sewing.
I can never get the thread through the needle. Ever.
Honestly, neither can I. I also loved the descriptions of the village market. The vegetable stalls, the flowers, the fresh apples.
Yeah, and a stall is basically a small temporary shop or stand at a market.
Britain still has loads of outdoor markets like that, especially at weekends.
And they always smell incredible. Fresh bread, flowers, coffee.
Much nicer than supermarket self-checkouts yelling at you.
Definitely.
And can we talk about the flowers for a second? The tulips and daffodils sounded beautiful.
Daffodils are such a classic sign of spring in Britain. The second they appear, everyone suddenly becomes optimistic again.
Even though it's probably still freezing outside.
Very true.
And tulips are those colourful cup-shaped flowers you see everywhere in spring gardens.
Honestly, the whole story made me want to disappear into the countryside for a week.
Oh, and we can't forget my favourite word from the story, lass.
Ah, yes. Mr. Brown says, "Thank you, lass."
Lass is a warm, friendly, slightly old-fashioned word for a girl or young woman. You hear it more in northern England and Scotland.
It sounds very comforting somehow.
It really does. You can almost hear the accent when someone says it.
I think that's what the story captured so well, actually. Not just village life, but that feeling of connection.
Definitely. In cities, life is often about speed and convenience. But in villages, life feels more personal somehow.
Though to be fair, city life does have its advantages.
It does. Better transport, more restaurants, more jobs.
And takeaway food at midnight.
Important point.
Very important point.
But honestly, I'd still trade all that for a peaceful walk through lavender fields.
Same, at least for a little while.
Right then, We'd love to hear from you now. Would you rather live in a peaceful village like Willowbrook or in a busy city?
And tell us why in the comments. Try using some of today's vocabulary like batch, pop into, or mend.
We always love reading your comments and hearing your experiences.
Absolutely. And once again, thank you so much to Margaret for the beautiful narration.
If you enjoyed this episode, don't forget to like the video and share it with your friends.
Take care, everyone.
And we'll see you in the next episode. Bye!
Cheers, everyone. Bye.